Well, I've bought this proper 4-bank drop target for Stern. It's in a bit of bad condition. We've got a broken target and the switches are a bit horrific. So I've also got this 3-bank one, which I'm going to steal some parts from, as this one's got good switches and all the targets are okay. So we can make this into a working unit and then we can get rid of whatever this thing is. There we go, all assembled and cleaned up and working. Obviously we have to put with a blue target there for now, but I'm going to order all new targets anyway for all the banks. So I've moved the switches to the workbench and I thought I would try straightening them by applying pressure in the clamp. I've dismantled one, and this also gives me the benefit that I can actually turn them around so that the contacts are facing the right way. So let's see how well this works. Right, and I'm just reassembling it in the clamp, and that looks like, it just needs a little tweak, but that looks like it's perfectly usable now, so I think I can recover all of these switches. So that was very time consuming, but they all are now roughly the right shape. They'll just need a little tweaking in the game to get them right. Ideally, if these existed, I would just buy new ones, but I spent a couple of hours adjusting them and flattening them out, so I think they're all usable now. Right, switches have been reinstalled, and it took me another, let's say, half an hour to get these perfectly adjusted. It's very tricky, but they do seem to be making good contact now. So I think we can reinstall this and then we can look at wiring it up. It is installed back into the original screw holes. There were some extra holes drilled for this silly mechanism. One issue I've got is this is an older style 4-bank, so this is from like an MPU 100 game. This is the MPU 200 style, which tends to have a more open frame, so it's got a different top plate. This has got the older top plate, so I've had to bend this lamp socket to give it enough clearance, and it just about fits there. Ideally I could maybe cut that out with a grinder, but that looks like it's going to be okay for now. Right now I'm just changing the wiring over to the replacement mechanism, so I've just snipped off of the coil, so we've just got to join the wires from this coil over here. We need to join them and heat shrink it. This orange one goes to the blue, and then this yellow goes to these two yellows here, and then we just need to cable tie it into the main harness out of the way and neaten it up. These are the wires for the switches. I've just tied them out of the way while I'm doing the coil, and then we're going to cut one of these off one at a time and then do the same, join those up. So while I've got the Playfield upside down, I've just seen this. So we've got a blown fuse and someone's soldered a wire across it, so that's no good obviously, we need to replace that immediately. Right, the Stern drop target bank is installed and this one is removed. Comment down below if you know what game this belongs to, because I don't know. Interestingly, it has the Stern coil on it, but someone might have modified it to put that on. Right, another big job we'll do while the Playfield is upside down is we've got a power supply hooked up, and I'm just going to hook the common up to the common wire on the CPU controlled lamps, and then basically go around and attach this to all the lamps, and then we'll test if the bulb needs replacing and if the socket's good. We'll go through and do them all. Okay, I'm about halfway through going through these bulb sockets, so I've been cleaning them up, replacing bulbs as and when required. Most of this section here is now working. I found one here that doesn't work because it's not connected, so we'll get that stripped and resolder it on. And what have we got? We've got a couple, so that one there and that one there have bad sockets I need replacing. So most of the sockets have cleaned up okay. I'm just going to carry on finishing it off and see what else needs replacing, and then we'll replace it all in one go. I just wanted to show this as well. So in this case, and there's actually a couple I've already taken out over here, these are 2 amp bulbs. I've got the power supply limited to 250 milliamps, so when I find a bulb like this it glows really dimly because it needs too much current. So those will have screwed up the lamp driver board for sure. by someone putting those in. So I'm replacing those with normal bulbs, but then we're obviously going to have to replace the SCRs on the driver board to fix that. Right, the status is drop target bank is all connected up, and all the bulb sockets have been gone through, cleaned up, replaced where necessary. All the bulbs are working. Put the proper fuse in here, so that piece of wire. So yeah, I can test everything out now. Hopefully I've got more things working, like the switches on the drop targets, and also we want to see more lamps working. I imagine there is some damage to the driver board, which we're going to be fixing next. So they won't all work, but they should be mostly working. This is what the attract mode looks like now. It's definitely more working, but they're still very dim. Let's put it in lamp test and see how many work. So everything in the back box is working. So 1x and 4x are out. This is so dim, it's hard to tell which ones will line up. That one's not. 6,000. 9,000's not. Extra ball's not. That X is not. That one is not. Nor that X. That one's just barely working. This is not a great result. Okay, those are all working now. That one is not. That one is not. That one is not. These are all working dimly. Are these pop bumpers lit up? No, none of these pop bumpers are lit up. So those two are out. Okay, lots of bulbs out still. So obviously I've gone through the playfield. I'm fairly happy the playfield is now working. The problems are going to be in the connectors or the lamp driver board itself now. Well, that's interesting. So we're doing a solenoid test, and you'll hear there's no solenoid sounds because the fuse blew. So there was actually a problem, and that's why they've soldered a wire across it. So we need to find out which coil is drawing too much current. Right, switch test. Let's see if we've got working drop target switches. No. 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 Okay, none of those worked. That's not ideal. Not sure what's going on there. Are the diodes wired backwards maybe? I didn't look at that. I just used them as they were, to be honest. But yeah, okay. Further investigation required on that. Replace the bulbs in the bottom two pop bumpers. I just wanted to show you this one. That's how I found the upper pop bumper. The bulb has escaped. You don't think that should be able to happen? Okay, I'll get the caps back on. I just thought I would see what it looks like in the dark. Now the lamps aren't actually that bad when it's dark. So that's interesting. Anyway, next job, pull the lamp driver board out and go and find out what's wrong with it. So the lamp board is on the bench. It's pretty much untouched. I can't see any solder work on it, so that's nice. It's in pretty good condition. Obviously we've got some bad drivers though, because of someone putting car headlight bulbs into the pinball machine. Anyway, let's investigate. One thing I see on a lot of old Bally and Stern pinballs is this green goo on the pins, just like on random couple of pins. I don't know if that's some like old like 80s anti-corrosion stuff or something, but I don't know. I find it all the time though, this same green goop, just like on, let's say, a few pins. So I'm going to clean that off before I start doing anything else. Right, so I'll just quickly show you how this works. If you've seen my other videos, you've probably seen this before, but I've got my own test that I made quite a few years ago now, and then we have a little LED flying lead with a resistor in it, and then 2 clip probes on either side, and we can go through and test all of the outputs. So we've identified one bad one already, which is on pin 15, which goes to Q51, so I've just marked those as bad, then we can investigate that further later. So let me just hopefully show you a working one. So there you go. So if I click on 16, it should pulse on like so, and we just go through them all and see if there's any more bad. Not that many have failed, but we've got a couple to replace. That does indicate that we've got wiring problems then, because, let's say, we've been through the playfield, checked the bulbs and sockets, so just the wires left to do. But anyway, let's replace these broken ones. I've just got one of these Chinese testers I don't use very often. I just want to see if it actually can test an SCR. So there's a brand new 5060 in there. Oh yeah, look, works fine. So after I desolder these allegedly faulty ones, we'll stick it in the tester and see what it says. Well, I'd planned to test those after desoldering them, but I dropped them on the floor, so they're gone forever. So I've just installed new ones, and I'm just going to retest it and see if it's working. And the answer is yes, they are all fixed. There you go. So all outputs are working. This board is now fine. Let's go put it back in the game and check out what wiring faults we've got. Well, it's possible we have more lamps working now. At least it seems to be the case. I think the next step is to basically pick one that isn't lighting up and trace it out and find out what's going wrong. So I think this one here is not lighting up. Or is it? Very faintly. Let's trace that one out though. It might have a bad connection, so let's find out where that goes. Right, I will show you the setup for trying to chase out these connectors here. So we've got the power supply set up, 5 volts, 250 milliamps current limited. We've got the positive lead going into Playfield, connected to the common bus for the Playfield lamps. Then we've got the ground basically just clipped to a diode. I'm just using that lead to poke it into the connectors so we can test all the pins. So as you can see, we've lit this light up nice and brightly. So I'm just going to go through each one of those pins until we find ones that aren't lighting up or are lighting up dimly, and we've either got a problem that's come back with the sockets. There's potential some of these old sockets could be flaky, or we could have bad pins or a bad connection. So the grey and orange wire is doing nothing, and then I just checked, and that is the one that goes to the 1000 that we're having an issue with. So we'll recheck the socket and the bulb on that one, but I'll go through, make notes of any that are bad, and then we can investigate them further. So different type of problem. This one is lighting up fine, but this is very loose and it flickers the light when I move this. Oh, it's fallen out. So yeah, I'm going to replace that pin. That pin's obviously failed. One of them was this wire that I found that was broken off. I completely forgot to do that. Now to you it probably looks like I spent 15 minutes fixing this machine, but this is done over several days, so yeah, completely forgot. I'll get that connected up, that'll be one of them solved. And another one is a broken wire, so that's another easy fix. Right, that's the last one. There was 11 on my list to investigate. It was a combination of broken wires and sockets that were bad, so didn't get them all the first time it seems. The reason I'm not just replacing all the sockets is because when we do the new playfield on this, we're going to get LED boards, so we won't have to worry these flaky old sockets anymore at all. I've just remembered another job I need to do. I need to investigate the wiring on this drop bank because none of the switches work. Yeah, these are not wired right. I should have checked, but I had wrongly assumed that Stern wire all their drop targets up the same, and they clearly do not. So if we have a look at a different drop target bank, so we've got this common wire going across, and the non-banded side of the diode goes to this common wire, which is on a dummy terminal. The banded side of the diode goes to one of the switches on each of these, and then the other switch, so this is the back, that's the back terminal, goes to the individual row wires. So on mine, the one that I've put in, so the common goes between one of the switch blades, and the diodes are going to, so what I need to do, so these are the individual rows here. Oh god, one of them is broken off as well, just to add to the ridiculousness. Oh, at least I can move it easily. So I need to take the row wires and put them onto the switch contacts, and then move these commoning wires onto the dummy terminal, and then that will be, so the non-banding side of all diodes will be commoned, and that will work. Right, I've switched the wires around, so the common is now running across the front, basically to the non-banded side of the diodes. I hope this is all correct now, because that was really awkward to do, and the solder on here was really smoky and horrible for some reason. It's from a 70s game, this drop target, so very old. Anyway, let's put this back in position, cable tie the wires back up, and then we can test it, because we've also got to test the lamps, because every lamp should now be working, and hopefully all these switches should be now working. Right, ready to power on. Let's see what the illumination looks like. We should have 11 more working bulbs now in theory than we did before. So we've definitely got more working. Let's put it into test mode. Unfortunately, because its voltage is so low, it's really hard to see when we put it into the all bulb mode. I can't see anything. Let's skip that for now. We're going to do the switch test. That's coil. Oh, we need to change that fuse, that blue. But the switch is 21, 22. Where's 23? Now, we had 23. Alright, we've got a problem with these two drops still. Those two did work. 21 and 22. Okay, this is getting annoying. Right, I need to put a fuse in as well.